Alright guys, what's going on? It is Will Type back with another video. It has probably been a couple years since I made one of these. Yeah, basically I'm back and I found a love for making EDM house type music, and so I'm gonna break down my first track it will be dropped by the time this video is posted. It's called Just Think Don't Go. And yeah, I'm just gonna break it down real quick for you. At the time of this recording, unfortunately, the Lions just got upset by the Commanders from Detroit, so that is very down bad. But we're gonna make this video, and hopefully I feel a little better doing something productive. So I guess I'm just gonna shout out Kick and Bass. It's like a company that makes, EDM sounds, house sounds. And this is one of my first ideas for EDM I ever made, so it was really helpful to have loops and things to kind of build off of. So I'm gonna start with this bass line that was in the pack. So I'm just gonna play real quick. Alright, so like that's groovy as hell already, so I knew we got something good. The main things I put on this is probably the most important thing, this thing called Submerge. It's basically like, I think it's called Kickstart. It's very similar to that. It's basically like a sidechain type of kick and bass type of plugin that ducks the bass out of the kick's way when the kick hits, essentially. So it's that same thing, but what's really cool about Submerge, but you see it's working right here, and basically what I'm doing is I'm only ducking, sidechaining the low frequencies starting at 537, so only the low frequencies, and I can kind of tune it up here with these and just kind of make it how I want to sound. So I just found that for this song in particular, it was way better to duck out the low frequencies. So that was really good. Then I just put EQ, saturated it, monoed out the low frequencies, and then I actually made the higher frequencies, the more distorted ones, kind of wider because it sounded really cool in the ears. So that's what that sounds like. I'm going to show you basically how much Submerge changes this bass. Alright, this is without it. So you can definitely hear how much that is, and it creates a great groove for the track. And I suggest always doing something like that on your bass for these types of tracks. I'm going to move down in the track a little. I basically duplicated this bass and I pitched it down an octave, and then I filtered it to where it's only the super low frequencies, like 16 below. And this is basically like just your deep sub bass that really helps just fill up the track, and it's gonna hit way harder in the club, and where it's gonna sound great. So that's all that is. I'm saying? It's really just rumble, but it's good rumble. And I put some crazy Submerge, which is the thing I just showed you, and it just kind of fit in the pocket and just made the whole track sound a little better. This combo with the basses. It was better to process, the low end separately from the high end of the bass, and that's basically why I duplicated the basses and did it that way. So then that's just the bass. So then I basically started with the drums on this track, which is something I usually don't do with, trap and shit, but this is the kick. Hat. Layered another hat, thicken it up. Clap with some reverb on it. And you hear that sub bass, I just soloed it there, and you see how, and then another clap, which is very minuscule thing, but I layer a lot of drum sounds to kind of craft exactly how I want it to sound. And then even further down, I put another hat on top of the hat, just to thicken up on the hook, the main part, which I'll get into later. So I put in this vocal I got in from Arcade, put a little reverb on it, but it sounds good. So we getting somewhere, And then the same kit gave me this awesome vocal, super catchy, processed it a little bit, made it sound how I wanted it to sound, and this is what it sounds like.
Just let me blow your mind. You're running out of time. One touch and then you're mine. Don't think, just go. Just let me blow your.
Oh, and then you can't forget this snare roll I added to it, which sounds sweet in the intro.
One touch and then you're mine. Don't think, just go. Just let me.
You know what I'm saying? This is part of like this other snare roll I have later in the song, which is basically like the thing right before the drop. So it goes, right? Yeah, with this snare roll, I basically went into the panning, and you can see everything is just randomized. I just randomized everything, and it just gives it that little shake. It's very subtle, but it gives it more a live feel, which I really like. I guess we'll go into a little deeper into the song. I put this little like bell type lead thing, which kind of just carries the song a little. So it's like this, and I chopped up the sample.
Don't think, just go. Don't think, just go.
Another thing I noticed with EDM, arranging is probably one of the most important things. It's going to make or break your song. So I had this idea, and I sat on it for just like that loop I made, basically, with, a couple other sounds I'll show. And I sat on that for like 6 months, and when I really wanted to drop it, I was like, I got to take this to a whole nother level. So basically, this is when I added this part of the song. It's basically, building up to the drop, which makes it so much more suspenseful. That snare roll I just showed you, I did that panning thing with the automation. I went in here, I routed all my drum sounds to like one channel, and I just put an EQ on it, and I just basically took out all the lows, so it thins up, right on this part, so all the bass comes out, and the kick is just the top of the kick, and I automated it at the specific buildup that we were just talking about. So it basically sounds like this.
Don't think, just go.
Put in a little synth that automated in pitch,
Don't think, just
and it automated in volume. Now these snares are building up, and they're automated in volume too, right?
Don't think, just go. Don't think, just go.
The last thing I did here was I took that little vocal chop I showed you at the beginning, and I put this Valhalla Supermassive, and I automated it to hit the buildup, and it basically did that huge echoing effect that you hear. So I just solo it out. It's gonna sound like this. And then it just basically has this endless reverb that's just like building up over time. It just sounds insane for this part. And so yeah, that's a tip. You automate Supermassive for your buildups if you're trying to have a super ambient buildup like that, like the main vocals. And I just put in this crazy synth that just, when it drops, it just goes crazy. So I'll just play right here, and I'll show you. I basically did the same side chaining thing I did to the bass to the synth, just because it sounded cool. So that's what this sounds like.
Don't think, just go. Just let me blow your mind. You're running out of time. One touch and then you're mine.
So yeah, that's basically what it builds up to. Just that little part I played. And that's when I want everyone to go crazy, on the dance floor. And then I basically took out the bass and then put in the sample again, and just kind of right there, kind of restarts. You can see I take out a lot of stuff, and I just kind of bring it all slowly back in again. This part is the second drop of the song, and I heard this quote from my DJ friend, and he was like, the second drop always got to be the best drop in the song. So I was like, all right, it's got to have some variation for show. So basically, I just took out the bass I was using initially, and I just put in a whole new bass, and it sounds crazy. It just took the ending of the song in a whole different direction. So I'll play what that sounds like.
Don't think, just go. Don't think, just go.
So you hear that bass, it is filtered, and then when it hits the drop, it goes even crazier.
Just let me blow your mind. You're running out of time. One touch.
Another little ear candy type of thing is this riser, and it's basically just this ambient like riser type thing that I put in, at the suspenseful parts of the song. So you hear it at that build up I was just showing you, and like right here, for example, in the song, it just gives like what's gonna happen next. You know what I'm saying?
Don't think, just go.
This is basically like the bridge of the song I'm playing right now. And right after this, I basically just bring it back to the main part.
Don't think, just go. Just let me blow your mind. You run.
You guys might be wondering where I got the majority of these sounds. Like I said, I got a lot from Kick and Bass, so shout out them. Definitely will plug you guys. The other godsend plugin of all time that's underrated as hell in my opinion is Arcade for house music specifically. So all is that little riser I showed you, that little vocal chop, that little lead, that synth lead that at the main drop, all those sounds are literally they're like samples that I chopped up basically using their sample chop up in Arcade. I'll just show you an example of how I use it. So like, see all these arcades, this bank they got, it's called 0 Hour. It's like futuristic house inspired EDM sounds. If you just look through them, that's the one I use, I got drum loops too. So yeah, I just basically click through those with that drum loop I made, and I just kind of just hear what sounds good. And that's a really good strategy, definitely when you're starting out. And then you see all these automations, and like I was saying, automation is probably one of the most important things. Basically automating things like the Valhalla Supermassive I told you about. This is the EQ, the high pass filter, and it's basically slowly increasing as the buildup is going on. And there's some other stuff, just like volume automations, very minuscule things that make a difference though in the end. Yeah, I had a fun time doing this, and I'm gonna have an EDM song dropping every month, and I'm gonna do this shit for real. So like, I'm looking at the camera right now, like a year from now, like I'm gonna look back at this video and I'm gonna be up. Like, I swear to God, this is where music's gonna start going, and I've had a lot of accomplishments in my life, being a sound engineer, but I really want to make, this is my staple, you know what I'm saying? Thanks for watching. Like I said, I hope you learned something. The song is called Don't Think, Just Go.
Just let me blow your mind. You're running out of time. One touch and then you're mine. Don't think, just go. Just let me blow.
Yeah, Don't Think, Just Go. I guess one little thing about the sample, I guess I'll add in here is just, you can see how I didn't have it going the whole time. I took it in and out, and that's really important for this song. It's really a feeling thing, but you see I just had the Don't Think, Just Go part, for this part, and then brought it back in. I'm just not looping it continuously because it's going to get repetitive and boring. I'm always taking things in and out, and that's what you really got to focus on when arranging, and then take it to another level with all this automation shit. I'm going to be coming with hella videos on this type of stuff, so subscribe if you enjoy this content. I'm also going to be doing a lot of like streaming and mixing content, and I'll still make beats and shit too, like trap beats, but yeah, so peace.